The way offers are looking now, I think anywhere just near that 2 million mark would be competitive.
400,000 in total revenue. At 2 million, it's pretty much a 10 cap.
I'll introduce you guys to Ben Cohen. He's a new guy on the team. Comps don't really matter in commercial real estate. It's more what the income of the park is and how you can get it financed. How you doing? You burning? How you doing? What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 1 of the weekly vlog series I am bringing back with commercial real estate. In the past, I would post a random vlog whether I was doing like site visits, visiting owners, doing cold calls, etc., etc. Now I'm going to be bringing it back, but we're going to be doing one episode a week every single Monday at 8 p.m. And this time around, at the end of each episode, I'm going to do a recap so you guys can see how many properties I've called, how many people I've contacted through email, and how many people I've contacted through text blasts, and give an overview of all of the potential deals I found per week so you guys could actually see the progression from nothing to making calls and actually achieving business in commercial real estate. And you'll see exactly what I close, when I close it, how much money I make, how much our commission checks are, how I sell deals, and how I put them all together. It's gonna be a work in progress, but we're figuring out as we go. So before we get into the episode, there's been a lot of new updates in my life. For example, I haven't really posted that many vlogs before because I was living in New York City for about a year and a half, but I decided to get out of there, so now I am in sunny Tampa, Florida, living at my girlfriend's place over here, and then we move in our new apartment in a month. I have a 113 unit, 2-park portfolio for sale in Dayton, Ohio. It is March 28th, and we have a call for offers date due April 5th. Having a tough time selling this park because there's a few drawbacks to it, such as smaller lot sizes. Dayton's not the most desirable area, but it is a clean park that I think is priced right. A lot of things have been wonky purely because interest rates have been steadily rising, which is making it hard to cover debt service and changes the values of parks. So for the next few hours, I'm going to be doing follow-up calls to all of the potential buyers for this deal. So let's get into it.
Armand, how are you?
Hey, I just wanted to give you a ring. We have the Dayton portfolio call for offers coming up soon next week. I know you looked at a bunch of our deals, but I remember that we went through a couple of questions on this one. Were you still interested in that, or where do you guys stand on it?
Kirby is concerned about it, and that therefore has really slowed Jacob down. But I'll get back in touch with him just to make sure, and I'll alert him that the call for offers is coming due here really soon. Kirby had some concerns like about the age of the homes and all of that in there. One thing that might help you kind of push Jacob and Kirby to both take a harder look at this Dayton one. So I've driven it a bunch of times. The major pushback we have is obviously the older homes and just Dayton market in general. Yeah. The actual location of Dayton, like right in the center where these parks are located, it's not like the rundown looking Dayton that people are thinking. With the pricing of the deal, I know the whisper price we were saying north of 2 million, close to 2.5, but the way offers are looking now, I think anywhere just near that 2 million mark would be competitive. And just with the current lot rent income alone, that's north of a 9 cap. So I know there's the older homes that Kirby's probably thinking, well shit, we don't want to deal with so many older crappy homes we got to rehab or demolish. But if you just look at what's currently there, currently rented, I mean, you could probably pick this up north of a 9 cap, if I'm being honest. Figure just to push it along the line, I know deals are getting hard to come by. That's 113 lots there. And then we have another 100-ish lots on the other side of town in Dayton that the seller's been talking with us. And I know Russ and our team's bringing out another 80 lots. There's an opportunity to pick up like 300 plus lots right in that area. Is that the other park that's also called Dayton Estates?
Yeah.
What turned us off back then was the vacant lot, the size of the lots. They're really small. We wouldn't be able to get like a 72-foot home in there. At that time, that was kind of our business model that we wanted to use. Now, in the interim, we've kind of changed that a little bit for that market, that, hey, we'll just leave those empty lots as empty lots. And then, convert all of the park owned maybe to tenant owned. So let me talk to Jacob and to Kirby and see what I can muster around. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Bye-bye.
So a lot of the time when a deal is hard to sell, you have to try and push the value of a park with other outside factors. So to give you an example, this Dayton, Ohio park has issues with lot sizes being smaller and low occupancy. Problem with that is lot sizes being smaller. If you wanted to bring in brand new homes to those vacant lots, you can't bring in typical new 72-foot long homes. You have to bring in smaller home sizes, which cost the same amount, but bring in technically less rents. Then on the flip side, older home inventory, there's a lot of vacant homes on those lots, and since they're older, it's like, is it worth spending 10 to 15K in rehab for a home that ultimately should be demolished? But if you demolish it, now you have to spend money on the demolishment, but also bring in brand new homes. That's why I was really trying to push current financials of where the income is, because it's at the pricing we're asking. I think you can get this north of an 8.5 or 9 cap going into it on just the lot rent income, and it's on city utilities. Then on top of that, all these large operators, they love scale. So we have one other listing coming nearby about 15 minutes down the road that Russ and our team is going to be listing. Then two, I got financials on the 2 other parks, which are north of 100 pads on the north side of town. So like I said, you could potentially get 300 plus lots this year if you were to buy this park and start to grow your Dayton portfolio. So if you guys ever are running into tough property to sell, you got to think, what are some outside pros that can kind of counterbalance the cons of your property that aren't as easy to see for someone who just is looking at the financials. Hey Mark, what's up, man? Thanks for calling me back.
Good, thank God. I'm calling about this 2-park portfolio you got in Florida.
Yeah, how can I help you with it?
3-park portfolio. What is it?
Yeah,
3?
Yeah, 3 parks.
What's going on there?
Yeah, let me give you kind of the whole background to it. She hates dealing with buyers and cold callers. She hates sending out financials, so she put together this, what I think is a very shitty write-up that doesn't really give the best info. I do know that she's looking to get somewhere in like the 50 to 55K per pad range, which does make sense for Orlando. I don't know how that lines up with actual collections and occupancy, because we're kind of going off estimated numbers it looks like she gave. Only main issue that I found out this week that really puts a sticker on the deal, which I think is why it hasn't sold for these last few years, because she almost went under contract a couple of times that I know about. She's signed on with a sex offender housing program.
Oh my gosh.
And she houses registered sex offenders in these parks, and it's kind of known as that in the community. I don't know how that affects financing. I know that's not a good look for an operator.
What else you got? Anything? I guess let me know what you uncover on this. Uncover is probably a good word, but let me know what you discover.
Parking
anything in Georgia, but like not Macon, like
no.
Near Atlanta.
One of the guys on our team, he's actually going to meet an owner who has like a 120 pad, but it's mostly vacant infill play outside of Atlanta. I don't know any details on it yet, but I can make sure he shoots that over to you.
Yeah, infill is not my forte, but I'm not against it. Like, we just brought in like 10 homes in our park that we have over there. So.
You guys look at the Midwest at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just don't have anything. I have right now in South Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah, I got you on my list. You'll hear from me on anything with size. But yeah, as soon as I got more info around this sex offender thing, and if it's like the majority of the park, or if it's just a few tenants, I'll find out.
It's probably going to be the majority, I have a feeling. That's it. All cool. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, Mark.
You good? Bye.
Abraham, what's up, man? It's Armand. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, Armand. How are you?
Trying to get like meetings and different things set up for MHI. Were you planning on heading out there in April?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. On Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m., our team was looking at getting together like a group to go to Top Golf with like different owners and operators and stuff. Wanted to see Wednesday night. Did you have anything planned around then? Because
I don't know if it's Wednesday night or not.
Okay.
I'm driving right now. I look it up.
Yeah.
Could you email that and I can double check and let you know? I definitely want to get meet up with y'all. If at the same time.
So I started making like in-person mini podcasts. I did one with Dylan Marma and one with this guy Derek Vickers. Didn't know if you'd be open to me kind of. Yeah, I'd like to shoot the shit, kind of pick your brain how you got in the industry and stuff, because I think it's really impressive how at a young age you got so many lots, so many pads already. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, when the date gets closer, then.
Yeah, I was only gonna go for one day of it, but I'm going the whole week pretty much. Like, I'll be there every day of the event now. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, because I'll be flexible on the time for that then. But yeah, I'll shoot you the info on the Top Golf thing if we could line it up.
Okay.
I'd have you there.
Do you guys have any parks? Anything upcoming that's bigger? I've got the parks I'm selling, which are under contract. They're supposed to close in May, and they waived their contingency. So I feel. Who knows? I may could still back out, but I feel like they're going to close. I'm going to buy a property worth like $8 million because one of those I own myself, and I'm selling it, so I got a 1031 that.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything? And plus, I've got other money that I'm doing 2 refis that are completing next month.
Oh, so yeah, you're about to need to spend some money.
Yeah. I have like $10 million to have to reinvest, like cash after reinvest.
Yeah.
So.
I know you've looked at the Dayton portfolio I have out there.
Yes.
I know it hasn't been the most desirable of deals, but something that might change your mind on it. So right now it looks like for the call for offers date we're doing next week, I think anything with a 2 in front of it could get the deal done. That puts the current lot rent income north of a 9 cap, actually close to a 10 cap. But the better thing with this is Russ on our team is bringing out another 80 lot park in Dayton to market in the next few months. And then there's 2 parks on the north side of town that sent me financials for another 140-ish lots. So you might be able to this year pick up 300 plus lots in Dayton if you did want to go that direction.
Yeah. Now, refresh my memory. I'm the one to Dayton because I remember looking at that, but I don't remember any of the details. What? How many lots was that?
113 total.
113. Okay. Can you send me the stuff on that again? And I already have it in my email. I may have downloaded it. But I'll take a look today and I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll shoot you up a little bit.
Okay, awesome.
So part of the pros, being in Florida, not freezing my ass off in the winter cold. So this is what my new work days look like. Hanging with Bay while she ignores me. But she looks cute in her orange bathing suit.
Pasta Slut.
Yeah, merch. Shout out pastaslutreviews.com. So it's Wednesday morning, and this is when I usually send out my weekly email blast. A new thing that I have been working on is haven't been in the past doing really any marketing for the most part. And I've recently started employing my own kind of team branding called mhpvalue.com. Still with Other Street, but it's kind of my own branding / team within that. And sending out text blasts now and email blasts that are a little more efficient and marketing forward with, like, I'll show you guys what that looks like here. So I usually send out something like this with a write-up that is actually useful and provides some value as far as like educational work or underwriting tips, stuff like that to my database. But recently I've started doing podcasts with other big operators. Like last week I was with Dylan Marmo of the Requity Group, and this previous week I was with Derek Vickers. He's a guy who just bought close to 2,000 units here in Florida. So I got to switch this out, hit send, and then after this I have a call with more Dayton buyers, hopefully trying to push some offers for the due date on April 5th.
Armand, nice to meet you, and I guess you're running point on this one.
That's correct. Good to meet you over the phone too.
Russ, you shared my questions with Armand, right?
So more than anything, I wanted you two to meet. Armand's very familiar with the ins and outs of the deal, so I thought that just made a ton of sense. And then he might have some more deals for you as well, so just wanted to connect you guys on the call.
So he's a decent operator that's in Ohio, the guy who owns the park. He bought this seller finance for a super low price, and it was a total turnaround kind of disaster of a deal years ago. His main play was just rehabbing the older down homes that were there, then sell them off and rent to own credit or rent to own contracts to the tenants. Over time, now he's gotten to the point where the remaining homes do need extensive rehab, and it's to the point where it's taking too much of his time that he'd rather focus on other properties, so that's his main reason for selling. A lot of the financials aren't as clean as we'd hope for. Like, he has a lot of different expenses written off through the properties that he's overpaid on rehabbing a lot of the homes, so you'll see so much of the staffing cost is really high because he mixes a lot of them up together on his P&Ls. Pricing guidance that we're shooting for on this, we've been telling everyone somewhere in the low to mid 2s. And I think we'll get offers in around $2 million. Or where do you guys kind of stand on it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that as I said to Russ before, we do like kind of value add opportunities. Like, so there were like 42 vacant park owned homes, right?
That's correct.
And the answer was maybe 8 to 12 of them can be reasonably rehabbed. And so if we're talking about having to remove 30 of them from the park. And given the vintage of these things, 60s and 70s.
This is where I get confused on how we should even ourselves look at this when we underwrote it. Even the homes that are in place there, they do need probably anywhere from 8 to 12,000 rehab each, which it's getting into that range of where, hey, we should just demolish these and bring in a new home. The problem is all of the lot sizes are smaller lot sizes that accommodate like 1960s, 1970s homes and not full-size 72-foot homes. We originally were really pricing this way more aggressive. Since interest rates have changed, like we've adjusted drastically, and lot rent income alone, like there's over $400,000 in total revenue. So let's say you had the expenses normalized, because his P&L expenses are a little out of whack. So if you had them normalized to even 50%, at $2 million, it's pretty much a 10 cap. Because you got $200K, and that's just the lot rent income. That's not any of like late fees. That's not any RTO income. That's just current in-place lot rents that are coming in collected. A lot of people have been pushing back on how they plan to infill this deal, but just on current operations alone, I think it's priced pretty appropriately.
Yeah. No, I get it, and I appreciate the candor. I think that are all the lots, similarly constrained, or
pretty much the entire park is shorter lot sizes.
Yeah, I've got a very good friend who lives in Dayton, but I understand there are kind of two sides of the tracks, if you will, in Dayton, right?
One thing I could comment on that, a little more backstory to when we originally got this listing from the seller. He had 7 parks he was looking to sell, and then changed his mind on a couple of them. We ended up selling the one that we're under contract now near Cincinnati, and then these 2 left. When I originally drove these parks, I thought for sure these 2 were going to fly off the shelf, because Dayton, I know, has a kind of a rough reputation, like you're saying. There's like the one side of town or just the specific neighborhoods that are really run down. And I think you should have your guy there drive these parks, because when I drove them, they were, from my perception, I'm not an expert in Dayton. I think Russ could speak better on the market. But the exact area of town this is in, it's not the run-down part. And I thought that these were the best-looking parks of the bunch, even though it's older homes, because all of the tenants there have like super clean lots. They all know each other. It had like that community feel of a good mobile home park rather than a run-down trailer park feel. And I think that when everyone's looking at this and hearing there's so many down homes, they're assuming in their head, oh, this is kind of a run-down trailer park, but it isn't. So I'd recommend, if your guy can, I'd have him drive these parks. I think they have a really good curb appeal, even though it is older homes.
Not negotiating at all, but I mean, did he pay at least $1 million for it? I'm just trying to ballpark the taxes in my head. I'm not trying to use that to negotiate price. I'm only trying to use that to size property taxes.
I think he bought it a little bit below $1 million.
If you use $800K and you want low 2s, that property tax number.
Yeah, could double potentially. Let me get the property card and the actual assessed value. I don't want to like rush any conclusions on it. I do know, and like Russ was talking about, like drop-in swaps are pretty much common practice for Ohio specifically.
Yeah, let's say it is low, and there's a big delta between what the purchase price is and where the market value is from the assessor's perspective. That does not necessarily mean that you're going to get hit. It doesn't. So I don't want you to look at that as black and white. You need to be aware of it, of course. But I'll shoot you over a couple of contacts.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. And Russ, I'll send you some times on Kentucky and Armand. I'll look for that email on the RTOs and the tax card.
Yeah, right. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Bernard, Armand Violi, MHP Value. How you doing?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Hey, I appreciate you texting me back.
Yeah, no problem. I'm getting ready to list my little park there, and I seen you text me last week, so I figured I'd give you a shot.
How long have you on the park?
I built it, actually. I bought just a block house there back in around 90.
Yep.
And I built the roads, county water and sewer, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, for a nice little 8-unit, or not 9 with the block home, but I mean, it's a nice, clean-looking little cul-de-sac you got there. Usually when, like, 8-9 unit kind of things in Central Florida call me, they're, like, run down. Do you own the homes there, or you just rent out the lots?
Yeah, I own everything there, yeah. All of them got carports and utility rooms. Most of them got new roofs and new airs and stuff like that,
You want
right
me to
now, getting about $650 a month.
Okay.
But they could go they could go up at least another $100 without any problems.
Let me ask you this, what's the plans with, are you trying to put this on market, or are you looking to just get an offer? Because I'm local to Orlando, so I can come meet you. Yeah, how about Saturday during the day, let's say around lunchtime, I'll just come by the park and come meet you. Do you live nearby, or are you at the park?
Yeah, probably 5 minutes from it, so.
Let's just meet face to face. I'll get what info I need from you then. I got a few buyers already in mind that I've sold a few smaller parks to around Orlando. I'll text you from this number, and then if you want to just text me your address, we'll see each other on Saturday.
Okay.
Thanks, Bernard.
I'll thank you.
For those who don't know, if you haven't been watching the channel, you're new to this series, this is my girlfriend, Maddie, the Attitude Queen.
Hey.
So we're on the way to, where are we going for dinner?
I don't know.
What's the place called?
Green Lemon?
Green Lemon, Tampa, Florida. I'll introduce you guys to Ben Cohen. He's a new guy on the team. Stud. He's done a lot of like multifamily, some mobile home parks, some single family here in Tampa, and he's going to be helping focus on the Southeast. He's a cool guy. His girlfriend's going to join us for dinner too. Let's go. Let me get the door for you. Here at
Make sure.
MHP Value, we're gentlemen. So Greenleaf, hour and a half wait. We're not going. Green Lemon, close enough. But anyways, Ben Cohen in the flesh.
How we doing?
New guy in the team. This is his girlfriend, Yuval.
I thought it was like...
And now we are going to try water and flour. See if it's any good. So an interesting thing that I just came across, and I think this is useful for a lot of you guys to hear. I was doing an evaluation for a 22 lot park over in Rock Hill, but 22 pads on 13 acres. The owner of the park, he approached me with info that he thinks the developer is going to end up buying the park. When I was doing the evaluation, I was coming up with a value that was somewhere in like the 800 to $1 million range. And then after doing some research on apartment developments that are happening nearby, I noticed that there's some like 5 acre plots of land that sold for like $1.5 million, $2 million. And we have 13 acres of developable land. And I know that the city there is very anti-mobile home parks. So a creative way how I'm going to try and help the client out while also potentially make me money is I'm going to call him right now, let him know my evaluation, email that over to him, but then tell him, hey, I'd like to get this in front of some developers and also refer over a land broker that I know. That way, one, either I could just get it in front of the buyer myself, even though it's not mobile home park I'm pitching, or two, I could at least get a referral fee from the new broker and then potentially get paid down the road that way. Mo, it's Armand with MHP Value. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Hey, do you got like 5 or 10 minutes to talk through the park?
Yes.
Okay. So I finished up the underwriting. I'll shoot it over to you in an email. Pretty much, long story short, I think I agree with you and you're right. I think you'll get better value for the park selling it to a developer rather than keeping it as a park. Just because of the low lot rents and the way the financing world has been, I think you'll probably get 800 to $1 million for the park if you were selling it as a mobile home park. So I did some digging because I do have a connect out there that sells a lot of land to developers like around Charlotte, and I did some digging. I don't know where exactly your value would come up for selling it as land, but I know it's 13 acres and I'm hearing numbers anywhere from 70K an acre up to as high as 150K an acre.
Right.
And you're like right in the middle of a lot of different like multifamily, single family development, high density things. Probably get north of $1 million, maybe even as high as $2 million. What's kind of the plans or timeline of you guys getting rid of this? Are you still just going to hold on to it for now, or are you looking to sell in the near future? Or where's your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's been in, so I think I told you, we bought it from my father-in-law.
Yep.
So we really, we only paid like $200,000 for it or something.
Yeah.
So we're in no rush to do anything with it.
Would you mind if I just mentioned it to a few developer contacts I have just to kind of get their reading on it, and then if they're interested, I can just introduce them to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be amazing.
I'll reach out over the next few weeks to just some of the contacts I have in town, see if there's anyone that wants an introduction to you. I'll be in touch. Look out on the email later today. And
yeah, that would be perfect. I would appreciate that.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it, Adam.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so we're on the road right now in Lakeland, Florida, going to meet that guy with the little 8-unit park that I called off that text blast. This is Typically a deal that's too small for me to take on, but it is right in my backyard and it's a clean looking deal. He did mention he wants to list it, so on the way to his office now. Before I get there, I'm a little bit early on purpose because I want to take pictures of the actual park myself before I see him. So hopefully no one's outside to bother them. I'll probably stand out in the bright red fucking Jaguar in a mobile home park, but you know, we're just gonna run with it. Fun times. Take a picture of that. Boom. Let's get out of here. Not a bad looking park. It is clean. Normal people live here, which is fun. Now, going on with this meeting, guys, in this folder, to get ahead of it, I know the guy has unrealistic pricing expectations. I pulled up comps in the area. Comps don't really matter in commercial real estate. It's more what the income of the park is and how you can get it financed. But considering we're in Florida and his rents are low, someone might just overpay based on like where they think they could take the park. It seems 30 to 40,000 per pad is what things are going to trade for, is what it could trade for. The way the financials are, probably won't get that, but we could always stretch to that. But at least I'm going there with something in hand and proof, like, hey, this is where your park's likely going to line up. So that way he knows I'm for real and not just coming up with numbers in my head. How you doing? You burning?
Yeah, man.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Good, good. So you do the mobile home setup and moving too?
Yeah, we move them, buy them, sell them, set them up,
That's cool.
repossess them.
Yeah, nice.
A little bit of everything.
So he's pretty much on board with listing the park with me. One thing that's a little complicated about this deal, they're individual lots and it's more like a subdivision than a mobile home park. Two of the lots aren't even within that cul-de-sac and are actual standalone lots pretty much. Those would be sold as like a residential home, like a typical mortgage, rather than wrapped in a commercial loan for the park. So I probably will end up getting my residential buddy involved to hit that as a listing and kind of see where things go with that. So in this final scene of the video, I'm going to go over my stats. We have a call tracking system within our database that we do by each broker, but I'm not a fan of the KPIs we look at because it's only on a per property basis and not actually calls of how many we reached versus didn't reach. So the amount of properties that I actually reached for the week were 119. This doesn't exactly reach. A lot of these are messages, but for the most part, let's go 119 direct calls that I intentionally made towards people. So like I said earlier in the video, there's not a lot of time in the week to actually manually dial. So I'm trying to test out different automation type methods, whether that be text blasts that automatically follow up with my entire database, or email blasts that automatically go out to my buyers list, so I don't have to send one by one emails to a buyer. I could just click a button, send it to all 200 of my buyers. And for the week, so for my deal blasts, which are the parks that I'm marketing, that I'm sending out to buyers, I had 503 opens for those emails. And then my weekly newsletter, I had 2,036 people that opened it, and over 79 people actually clicked the link and watched the video. I sent out a podcast I did with Derek Vickers, shout out to him. To cap things off, which is what I think is the most important tracking, it doesn't matter how many calls and outreach you do, it's really how many new potential sellers did you find. I was able to get 3 new potential sellers. So hope you guys enjoyed week 1, episode 1 of Deals, the commercial real estate series. Make sure to tune in next week, Monday, 8 p.m. for episode 2.